So we are never gonna get best of 3 Swiss for Vanguard, and that's pretty clickbaity, but I think that's true. This has basically been on my mind since the recent overtrigger drama that's been going on basically I think a month ago now, right? I haven't really kept up, but people were using best of 3 as like a solution to all the issues, and then after we implement best of 3, there'll be no one complaining about anything anymore. And of course that's not true, right? There's always going to be something that people are going to complain about. But although I do think best of 3 is cool, it will never happen, right? And I'm going to tell you why. At least for Swiss, right? And this is for like BCS tournaments, things like that, right? So let's kind of start off with the thing where everyone says the reason why this will never happen is because that Vanguard players play too slowly, so we'll never get a best of 3. And that is true, right? Vanguard players do play slower, but that's not entirely their fault, right? That is not entirely their fault. If you look at Vanguard as a game and compare it to like the others out there, especially the big 3, right? So MTG, Yu-Gi-Oh, and Pokemon, there is not a scoop phase, right? There is no scoop phase in Vanguard, usually, right? Usually you're basically, you want to play out the entire game because anything can happen in Cardfight Vanguard, right? That's how it is. But yeah, you will rarely scoop, and that just means that the games will naturally reach their intended game length, which is long, which can be like the whole time, right? Then plus time. So games will just naturally go long. Now, let's kind of think about this, right? So how do we make Vanguard into a best of 3? Well, if you look at the other games and how they do best of 3, it is basically the best of 1 time times 2, right? So if you look at Pokemon, they have 50-minute best of 3s, and then for best of 1s, they play 25 minutes, at least in Japan, where they play more best of 1s. And that is that's the game length of the game. And let's kind of apply this scenario, and now we'll soon see why it's gonna be a bit hard to do like a best of 3 at a big tournament. So 30-minute, let's say 30-minute premium tournament, 30-minute premium round, right? Times that by 2, that's 60 minutes. That's pretty good, right? 60-minute best of 3, that's nice. That's right. Now let's think about how many rounds are in like a BCS, right? So let's look at America. I mean, America usually gets 8 rounds, yeah. And then you have a top cut, so that's 11 rounds. And then let's think about, okay, so it's 60 minutes, then plus 10 minutes of time, so that's 70 minutes. And then for like tournament reasons, we give it another 10 minutes for like a buffer, right? In between rounds, if things go wrong, you have this buffer. So basically it's 80 minutes a round, right? 80 minutes times 11, that is 880 minutes, right? That is a lot of time. Now let's also put in some like 30 minutes for the deck check, right? That becomes 910. And then we have something like an hour before the tournament for like registration and things like that. So that is 970 minutes. We are nearly 1,000. We're nearing 1,000 minutes for the day. And I can tell you, with 970 minutes, that is around 16 hours, right? 16 hours. So you wake up, you go to the tournament, then you go to sleep. You have 8 hours of sleep, right? So that is pretty much your day. I don't think you can have a tournament for 16 hours. That's pretty long, right? That's pretty long. But you could say, well, other tournaments do that, but their solution is they have a 2-day tournament. So you move a bunch of rounds to the next day, right? And that works if you're only doing one game or one format, right? If you look at Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon, and MTG, they usually only do one format at these big events. And sometimes I think like for the big MTG events, they do 3 days. They actually do 3 days. But yeah, for the other games, they only have one format. So that just makes it easy. You just have to focus on the one thing for the entire weekend. While Vanguard, we have 3 formats plus Y Schwartz. So we have basically 4 things going on. 4 things going on. So if you were to make it a 2-day event for everything, then it will be like a 3-day overall event for BCS. I'm pretty sure Bushiro just doesn't want to do that, right? They don't want to do it. So we have to somehow shrink it to like 1 day for everything, because if you do 2-day event again, the second day, those guys kind of get screwed over, right? Those guys kind of get screwed over. How do we solve this, right? How do we solve this? I think an easy solution, and this should be I feel like this is like an easy win and should already be implemented anyway, is that the top cut at least should be best of 3. Right, very easy to manage. It's only 3 rounds, and there's only 8 players or 16 players, right? So if it's a top 16, then it's 4. But I think in I think in like the real tournaments, the real life tournaments, if there's too many players, they just make it 2 blocks, and then it's two top 8s, right? And then that's still easy, right? So I think top cut should just be best of 3. It's an easy win. It's if you're at that level already, right? You're better off just getting more games. And like for like 3 hours for top cut, that's fine. But then the rest of the day, if that's best of 1, that would just go by pretty quickly too. I hope, right? I hope if we've heard of those events where even best of 1s take forever. But you know, I think people are getting better. I think the staff is getting better. They're shaping up. I believe, right? And with that, you go, okay, that doesn't solve our problem though, right? I want like hyper serious tournament. I want to make it so, like, you know, why don't we just kill a format, right? Wouldn't that help, right? Let's kill V. I think it's hard to kill formats as well, right? Because although from a Western perspective, we care about premium a lot, right? And then, you know, we're never going to get rid of standard because standard is standard, right? So that means V is like this weird format that no one cares about, but there is a lot of people in other regions that cares about V, right? So if we think about, I think Southeast Asia region, for example, they like V a lot more than even standard. So I don't think there's a real good case where you go, yeah, let's just kill one format out and go. And we still have the same problem where, hey, you know, we now have 3 games. Okay, at least like standard and premium could be run on like the Saturday, and that goes for like 2 days. And then Weiss, let's just let them finish very, very quickly. They can do their own thing, right? So that's like the only chance that could work. But again, killing off a format, I don't think is the correct way forward, unfortunately. How about we have it so we only have like 1 format per regional? And I think for BCS especially, people will not like that because they want to make sure they can play their formats and represent like whatever they want, whatever format they want at Worlds, right? I think when we look at some of the tournaments which only have like 2 formats, they're like, what? Why would I go here? Right? It sounds wrong. Why is premium not here? Or why is Schwartz not here? Or something like that. Everyone wants everything for BCS. That's just it. People are greedy. If I travel to an event, right, I want to be able to play in the event that I want to play in, right? And then otherwise, like, they want it to be like 4-day events, which is only in Australia, right? Only in Australia. I think the actual solution is to create another circuit that is much more focused on the competitive side, right? So something like a VMC in Japan, right? Japan has like their WGP, but then they have their VMC tournaments. And if you market that tournament more towards like everything is going to be best of 3, we're going to play these formats, and then you have it like more locally based, right? So this is more shop based where people can like kind of set the rules. They can set more things. You know how BCS is no entry fee, right? They could set entry fees, right? Because this is you're marketed as a much more serious tournament. And then you'd have like things like like continentals where like it's like invite only. It's at like maybe on the west coast of America or like one of the countries in Europe, and give something like unsponsored invites. I think they can just throw unsponsored invites to Worlds, and people will try hard for that. Right, people will try hard for it. I don't think it's does a lot to the bottom line for Bushiroad, but for like a competitive player, you want every chance to go to Worlds, and this way, even if it's an unsponsored invite, you would try hard for it, right? And you can give other prizes as well, right? You can give like more promos. I'm sure there's a lot of promos that are still untapped, and or alternate arts, right? And that will incentivize a lot of people to do this travel and like pay money to go there and try hard, right? So, and then you'd keep like Springfest as like, you know, the super casual tournament that everyone still likes, right? Because you're still winning things. And then BCS is still kind of like a melting pot where everyone can have fun but still win like good prizes, right? You're getting sponsored invites to Worlds, you're getting unsponsored invite to Worlds, but it's kind of like the focus for that tournament is just people, quantity. You want people, just heaps of people at these tournaments. The vibe is great, but then when you go to like the kind of like the let's call it the VMC like tournament, it is like serious mode, right? Everyone there is practicing hard, and that will just attract a certain type of player, but also create good content that you can like use for like streams and things like that, and also just provide more data. I think one of the biggest issues that a lot of people have been talking about is there's not enough events, right? Right now we have Springfest, we have BCS, and we have BRO, and the BRO stuff is really cool as well. But in terms of like this extra kind of layer of kind of tournaments, I think that will work very well, especially if the only real kind of interaction that head office or like the international team needs to, well, the big wigs really need to do is go, hey, there's a circuit, can you guys take care of it? You need to do blah blah blah, and then we'll have like a regional thing later on, all right? And that we'll sort that one out, but let the community kind of deal with the other stuff, the lower level stuff, basically, right? So I think if you have this extra circuit that is kind of more focused on like the competitive scene, you can do a lot more. You can do a lot more where like you can add like the things that you normally won't be able to add, and then also like create this different vibe, right? Every single tournament has its own thing, right? This one is the fun one. This one is the one where like, you know, everyone comes in, and this was a sweaty one. It's best of 3. You know, the tournament will go long, but because we know this tournament will go long, we have much more qualifier like series. So you have to like qualify the shop, then you have to qualify here as well, and then you finally go there, and it's still like a lower amount of players joining for this last one, but the quality is all there, and that also makes it much more manageable as well. So I think that's the best solution, and I think that that's a great solution for everyone. Of course, this does mean that you know, they might need to hire more events people, and it might be a bit troublesome for like somewhere like the AO region where we have to fly everywhere to get to places. But hey, I still think if there's an unsponsored invite on the line, people will be happy to take a plane trip like sometime during the year to go to this Continentals to like win something, right? So I think that's fine. And then we have, you can have like more than one going on. So let's say if you wanted to focus on the alternative formats, that is not just standard, right? Because standard basically goes on forever, while V and premium, less amount of players, but much more focused player base. You can do it like twice a year, right? You can do it twice a year. So like half a year is more focused on the V side, and then the other half is focused on the premium side. And then you just have this like nice extra circuit that people kind of interested in. You'll always see results for these other formats as well and get data. And because this is like a much more condensed, much more serious kind of format, the data that you get will probably be like really, really good too. So yeah, that is kind of just my kind of rant on why we will never get best of 3. So of course, it's kind of like, it's definitely clickbait, right? This is YouTube, clickbait. I haven't done a talking video in a long time, but one, like let's just break it down. Best of 3, top cut 100%, but best of 3 for Swiss, I'm still thinking it's gonna be hard and probably won't happen, but I think the solution is something else, right? Another series that is much more focused on the serious side of Vanguard, and that will be good. So that is it for me. Let me know what you think in the comments below, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.